Now, if you were to say 10, it would be correct. But you
And
just
we're
went
live.
live, possibly halfway through my sentence. So,
Yes.
hello everyone. Welcome to the Expletives Included podcast, with much less nutritional value than all other name brand podcasts.
How much are you hating that idea of mine?
Everyone needs an intro, and I think it's quite fitting.
We are awful in every way, yeah.
We have a lot less nutritional value than all of the podcasts I listen to, which is just like one group of people who do all of the podcasts.
Who do you listen to?
Honey Badger Radio.
I see. I have no idea who they are. And I assume they give no fucks.
They give it a lot of fucks.
Really? They're not
Yeah.
even up to the name.
They get annoyed. Wait a second. No, because they're honey badgers. They go for the balls. I don't think I've ever actually heard them say that, but I imagine that's kind of their attitude.
But the meme of the honey badger is, honey badger don't give no fucks.
I thought honey badgers... No. Is that not the antelope?
No.
No, antelope is like, chill, I got this. But no, honey badgers go...
You're thinking of aardvark there, by the way, not the antelope. An antelope's a deer.
Yeah.
Because the antelopes... No, sorry, the aardvark sort of stands there like that. Chill. Gotcha.
But no, yeah, honey badgers are famous for attacking people's testicles.
Low-hanging fruit.
That's another thing that they do. They go for the low-hanging fruit.
Well, you know. So that's who you listen to. I listen to all manner of people. Because I have that whole free time thing that I'm using so well.
I have a long commute. That's what I do.
Well, this week's actually...
a menial job that sometimes allows me to listen to podcasts.
So you tried listening to books during that?
Yeah, I'm doing both.
Fair enough.
I'm currently listening to the Canterbury Tales, and also I was kind of going through a few Dawkins books because, well, Dawkins, and I don't know, he's been ill and he's old, and I don't want him to die.
But he's also kind of a jackass, so you know.
Take that back.
He is a jackass.
Nothing but lovely.
He's a very abrasive personality.
And I love him for it.
Because you're a terrible, terrible person. But then again, I loved Hitchens for the same reason.
Hitchens is worse than Dawkins.
I know, he was awful and I loved him for it.
Okay.
I accepted that in my heart that he was awful. You know, did you ever see him debate people?
Not really.
You can see some great ones.
Not really, no.
You can see some great ones on YouTube. It's like watching a man club a seal to death.
I think I've seen maybe one or two of his speeches, which I don't think were actual speeches. I think they were just kind of segments of like discussions he's been part of.
Yeah. They're practically soliloquies in their length.
Yeah. Though I've seen a few of Dawkins's. Actually, no, have I seen debates, or is it just like soliloquies that he's kind of gone rambling off on? I've seen parts of his debates. I know.
You see parts of a lot of things.
Yeah, but no, because there's just. It's obviously that I just don't remember the other side of the conversation because it's just not as good as Dawkins. He goes on like a couple of times. I think it was at a panel. He was like at a convention or something, and people were asking him questions, and he kind of went on his soliloquy about how, like, the person who he's talking to, or the person who asked the question, is an atheist for all other gods other than their own. He's just gone that one step further. And he kind of talks about Thor and Odin and Jabu Jabu, who lives up the mountain. And
yeah, I think I remember seeing that one.
It's a great line. It's great. Yeah, it's great.
Well, there's a Hitchens debate with Stephen Fry is his co-panelist
Mm-hmm.
against, I think it's the head of the Church of England at the time. So was it Desmond Tutu? No.
No.
No. It was a high-ranking Christian in the Church of England, and evangelical Christian. So you had two woolly people and two ferocious people.
Mm.
It was a really good debate. But that's not what we're talking about today.
No, that is our tangent.
First tangent of many.
Yes. What was it? Because it started off with podcast, then it started going on about abrasive people.
Yeah.
If you insist, I shan't argue with you.
Oh, hold on. One last point on Dawkins.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you stand on the Church of England trolling him?
I don't think they were trolling him.
You think they were honest?
Yeah, I think they were honest. Because recently I re-listened. Actually, I say re-listened. I've always kind of been reading the book and then kind of put it down and kind of said, "Oh, I'll get back to this later." It's like I've heard these arguments. I know these arguments. I kind of know where this is going, and I never kind of finished the book. With the audiobook, I finally finished it, and he does have like interaction with like the Church of England with religious people, and he does. I think he does kind of count some of them as his friends, and he's kind of he has done work activism with people within the church, and what the church's response to people are saying is like, "Fuck you, church! How dare you pray for him?" and all that stuff. And it's like, chill. And they were like saying, chill. Dawkins isn't defined by his atheism. He's a multifaceted person. We were genuine. He may not think that, that it does anything, but we do, and we have concern for him. Stop treating us like assholes for trying to show concern to someone who is sick.
True, they are the Church of England, not...
Well, I'm not sure if it was it Church of England or was it...
Yeah, it was the Church of England.
Hmm.
It's not like it was evangelicals or someone.
Hmm. No, yeah, like Dawkins does have friends in the church.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least he used to, and he's got a professional relationship with a couple of them, and yeah, no, I think they were showing genuine concern. It might not have been with the most tact. It was probably not the best thing they could have said. Dawkins would probably laugh at it, but I think it came from a genuine place.
I think that was it. They were trying to get him to laugh.
Maybe.
Either that or it was some church media intern dealing with it.
Mm.
And then you have to imagine church interns, and that's just a weird thing.
Shit, someone's sick. What do I do? What do we do? We'll pray for them. Who is this again?
Because, none of these
religious people know who Dawkins is.
Well, no, none of these sort of celebrity Twitter accounts or corporate Twitter accounts are run by anything more than an intern.
Donald Trump's is run by himself, I believe.
Because he knows how to use a phone that isn't a rotary dial.
He doesn't know how to use it well, and I believe it's recently got him into some hot water because he retweeted. There was a bot made up to kind of continually tweet Mussolini quotes at him in the hope that he would retweet them because he has been known to retweet stuff. And recently he did. And then there was this kind of like big kind of frou-frou, like saying like, "Oh look, Donald Trump, he's requoting, he's Mussolini. Look at it, yeah." And his response rather than saying like, "Oh no, this is." I've just heard that it is his account, and he did kind of retweet it, and he just said that it's like a good quote is a good quote. I saw it, I liked it, I retweeted it. And like someone was saying that he probably should have someone to manage his account. So something like that happens again, and it's like, I didn't do shit. This fucker in charge of my Twitter account, who's a moron, did.
Yeah.
But it was something about it's better to live one day as a lion than 100 years as a sheep. Which, that sounds like the kind of thing that he would say. And it's a Mussolini quote, and
Yeah, it does sound like the kind of thing Mussolini would say.
Hmm.
But
And
yeah, it's
bad
like
people can have good thoughts or good quotes. It's I don't know.
I kind of want to go two ways with this tangent. I'm not sure which one to take. One's Kanye West, one's Jeb Bush. Which do you reckon?
Kanye West is far more interesting.
Okay, Kanye West legitimately doesn't know how to use a smartphone or the internet. He's quite proud of that. He has people to
Kanye
do this
West
for him.
also the one who is anti-book.
Yes.
So he doesn't like books. He doesn't like the internet.
Oh no, he has people to use the internet for him.
Does he have people to use books for him?
Quite possibly, quite possibly.
Hmm.
Yeah, he honestly, he's quite proud of that. He said that in interviews. That's amazing that you can be so rich you don't have to know what the internet is.
Yeah, but also wasn't he running for president or something? That wasn't that like a Kanye for president thing, or was that just like a publicity stunt? Is he not
Uh,
actually doing it?
that was just a publicity stunt.
Hmm.
And we're actually into the Caucasus now, so you know, shit's real.
Hmm.
I mean, it looks like it's going to be a Trump Clinton.
Hmm. Although I've heard that. Well, I listened to a few people who like say that they think it's going to be Trump Clinton, but really they want it. It should be who's the other big guy in the Republican camp? Who's kind of going? Um,
Oh yeah, I know who you mean. Oh shit.
cause,
I read an article on what Trump was doing to attack him today.
um, this is well. Luckily,
We have the internet.
in West, we know how to use the internet.
Because his father was Mexican or something, or and Donald Trump was attacking him on immigration, on being an immigrant.
Didn't he recently, or like a while ago, say I haven't got my Ted Cruz.
Ted Cruz, yeah.
Oh, Ted Cruz is. Oh no, Cruz isn't doing very well. Actually, Trump's been doing very well. It seems. I know.
Yeah. No, sorry,
I
Karen.
guess these are predicted. Yeah, apparently I've heard that it should be Ted Cruz and Bernie Sanders who are supposedly like the best people who could get him, but everyone kind of thinks it's going to be Clinton and Trump.
I mean,
Probably winning in that case.
I legitimately hope that Sanders gets the Democratic nomination.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause
You misogynist.
no, I don't like political dynasties.
Mm.
You know, and Hillary has flip-flopped.
There are a few fun things that if we're going to kind of talk about this, because I don't really, well, I suppose that, you know, American politics is global politics, but I don't really kind of care all that much. But there are a few fun things. So apparently, I'm sure I've heard like headlines. So probably, I don't know, probably nothing, but they're like people who say that they will vote for Saunders instead of Hillary because they think Saunders is the better feminist.
Yeah.
Which it's kind of funny, but not really, because like Hillary's campaign is kind of pushing hard on like the whole feminism angle, whereas Bernie Sanders isn't. And also there was this old lady who I think must be kind of quite influential in like the feminist circle, and she's like saying there's a special place in hell for women who don't vote for Hillary. I don't. That's kind of like another thing which you're not supposed to take seriously, because apparently she says that for everything. So
Was that Bruce Raider, Ruth Gator, that the one big woman on the Supreme Court,
possibly
Ruth Bader Ginsburg, I think.
there's a special place in hell. But yeah, apparently she kind of says that a lot. So
yeah, she's a bit hyperbolic.
it's about as meaningful as Shepard saying, there's a special place in hell for you if you do whatever. I don't know what's from Firefly.
Yeah, I know.
There's a special place in hell for adulterers and people who talk at the theater.
Yeah.
Something like that. Madeleine Albright.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I've just kind of searched. There's a special place in hell, and she's the first person to come up, and it says there's a special place in hell for women who don't help women. Former U.S. Secretary of State, and I think she basically said the same thing for that's kind of like the angle. It's like women need to help women. Hillary is a woman, so vote for Hillary, or you're anti-woman.
Mm-hmm.
But
by the way, Dan.
Say again.
It's echoing on your end, Dan.
Oh, okay. Usually it just kind of goes after a few seconds.
Mm.
Still there?
I will continue talking for a minute. And it might have gone.
Okay. But also, I can't remember who, but I remember there was I think it was some kind of feminist campaign a while ago, where Bernie Sanders was kind of given the title of honorary woman because of his kind of activism, or because for his social policies, or for his activism for the rights of women. He was an honorary woman. So he's a woman. He's a feminist. So by the logic, I don't know, I guess Democrats win either way.
To be honest, yeah. The Republican camp is full of crazy.
The feminist Democrats kind of win, however, because either way they're going to get a female feminist president. But
it's whether Hillary sticks to the feminist guns.
Yeah, well, it depends what popular opinion of the time is, I think. But, yeah,
that's basically Hillary's campaign.
But we've been rambling for about 20 minutes or so I think that's enough to kind of get it all out of the way. We've had our global discussion of global politics. So remember to hashtag Trump in our tags so that we can get all of the views in.
I don't want those kind of people watching our channel, Daniel. They'll make it dirty. Filthy. So filthy.
You can't get lower than rock bottom, Kim.
Yes, you can.
So, other things which have been happening this week.
Pokemon.
Gotta catch them all. Pokemon. Yes, it is the 20th anniversary of Pokemon, or it was sometime last week. And to signify this event, Nintendo have re-released Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow on the eShop for the Nintendo 3DS, and possibly more.
Probably the 2DS as well.
Well, yeah, the 2DS is the 3DS.
I know, I was being snarky. So Nintendo's finally released
I meant just like with the Wii or something. The Wii U.
I haven't checked, actually. I might do that later, actually. But
I think Saturdays, but I'm not sure. Carry on.
But they've finally released another good Pokemon game.
Yeah.
The first album was great. Everything else was shit.
Hey, Gold and Silver were better in my opinion. They perfected the recipe or whatever.
Bah.
Formula. That's it. They perfected the formula.
All that stupidness was berries.
Yeah. Was it berries in?
Yeah,
because you had the sprinkler can because you needed to use that to kind of get rid of Sudowoodo. Sudowoodo, sorry.
Fake penis.
Okay. So yes, I decided that we would talk about our history with the game, and then we can talk about where we kind of broke off from the game. And then I had kind of like a resurgence in the game, which actually involves a Catholic.
How very un-Pokemon.
Yes, but she was a girl, so it's very me.
Oh, I know who you're talking about now.
No, you don't.
The Littons?
No.
Hmm.
Were either of them really big on Pokemon?
Yeah.
Or either of them Catholic?
Yeah.
The youngest one definitely isn't.
Well, they were in school.
Oh, okay.
They were actually
The
really
youngest
against
one
that.
definitely wasn't. But no, you wouldn't know her. No.
Are you cheating on me, Daniel?
No. She started ignoring me.
As all women do.
It's very me. So I had a small resurgence there. Then I had like a proper resurgence later, and I don't know where I am with it now. But we can discuss the present day Pokemon as well.
Yeah.
So history, Kier, would you like to start?
Okay. Now we're going back in time here to the
Go on a
past.
journey through the mind.
Back in the halcyon days to 1996, when I was but a lad. Anyway, I got red. It was good. I was also really into the cartoon. Well, I suppose we should call it an anime now.
We can talk about the anime as well.
Yeah, and the card game. I got the card game. Gotta tap that vein.
I basically just chucked away all of my cards, apart from the shiny ones. I know, I think a few of them might have actually been worth something though.
Yeah, I actually had a shiny Charizard.
I had nothing that big.
Yeah. I got that out of a fucking booster too.
Nice. I remember a few people who had Charizard. I remember someone in my primary school had a Charizard, which was quite big because we only had like 40 people in our primary school.
We went to very small primary schools.
Yes. And I think I remember I think someone had this. I might have known like one of my friend had it, and I think he well, like there might have been more than just one person with Charizard, but I think he had one of his stolen.
I had mine ripped in two.
Eesh. That's brutal.
That's actually the game got banned at the school after that.
Fair enough.
Apparently, I was crying that loud.
Well, yeah, that's worth like £100 now.
Yeah.
No,
I don't think even Charizard was in the cartoon at that point. I don't think Charizard was even in the cartoon at that point.
The anime here. So you're ignoring the traumatic experience in your youth. Is that just all you're going to say? You had red?
I had red and I played it to death. I think it was for my 5th birthday. Game Boy Color, Pokemon Red. That was me set for the rest of the year. Probably one of the few games I completed in my youth. Then when Gold and Silver came out, I got Gold, and I also got Yellow, which I basically think is the same as Red. Though I do like how cute Pikachu is in that.
Mm-hmm.
Then I got Gold, and it just wasn't the same. I just remember it feeling. It just felt wrong. I think it's just because I've got so used to the 150. It was like, and here's a bunch more. Like, I want to know these guys. I want my old friends.
Okay, so now I will take you on a journey back to the distant, distant past of 1996 or thereabouts. I can't remember how old I was when I first got into Pokemon,
Well,
but
you
I
would have
think
been 5.
probably would have been 5 if it was 96. If I got it like when it came out, but this is like a long time ago, and my memory is bad at the best of times. But I remember like several of my friends. It was big. It was kind of the craze that swept the nation. Um, I I did get quite big into Pokemon, so yes, I did have the card game. I watched the anime on SMTV Live. I remember the Pokemon rap. If you don't know SMTV Live, search like SMTV Live. It's like Ant and Deck, Poker Rap. Um, I don't remember much, but it was just like
Oh, the memories.
Pikachu, Pikachu. Um,
Oh, the memories are
oh,
flooding back.
the memories, and they had these jumpers which had Pikachu on it, and I think it was like Pikachu and then like maybe Ant and Deck underneath, and they gave it out to like people who called in. I think maybe if you won a competition, and then they like had pictures like showing like the people who wore the sweaters, and it was like that was like, oh yes, I won that. I need that. I need that Pikachu jumper. Um, and they did like all this other kind of crazy stuff, like, but I kind of remember that they had like the Pokemon rap where they just kind of go Pikachu, 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 and then they had like the evolution rap where it's a Raichu, Raichu, Raichu,
Yeah.
which is amazing fun. Seriously, it's probably all on YouTube. If you have an hour to kill,
And if you hate your life, you'll look it up.
so it's kind of like one of those things. You're awake, 4 a.m. You're eating cereal. You haven't been to bed yet. You've lost control of your life. Watch the SMTV Live Pokemon rap.
And relive your halcyon days as a 5-year-old.
If you're in the UK, if you're outside the UK, then
Then get really stoned.
and experience beach.
Yes. Do you remember their Friends parody that went on so long? Oh,
yes, Chum.
yeah.
So, me and Kat all alone in the flat. I wonder, will I finally kiss her? And it's like someone always comes in, and I remember I think there was like a final episode where it's like going to be like, yes, Ant and Kat Deely, who I had a massive crush on, are finally going to kiss, and it was just like me and Kat all alone in the flat. They go through all this, and then it's like something usually happens by now, and I just kind of kept going. It's like, right, no, this is not right. I don't like it. Something weird's going on. It was great. That's kind of like a wider culture of Pokemon, and just like I was saying, it was big in my primary school because it was big everywhere. It was kind of Pokemon was life. I remember like Pokemon. It predated Yu-Gi-Oh, of course it did, and Pokemon cards kind of introduced everyone into that kind of
Did Pokemon
idea.
predate Magic?
Say again?
Did Pokemon predate Magic?
I think Magic might have been like 93, so I think Magic probably came first.
Okay.
And so yeah, but I can't remember if I had like red or blue or yellow. I'm fairly sure I did have yellow, but I remember kind of maybe trading the games with my friend, just kind of always being at my friend's house, and we would kind of trade the Pokemon that we couldn't get. I'm not sure if I ever made it to 150 Pokemon, but I remember, because I remember borrowing someone's game and just kind of like starting a new game because I really wanted to kind of like experience it from the beginning, and then accidentally saving. Because it's second nature. It's just what you do. And I just didn't kind of click.
One moment, Dan, please. I'd just like to thank Ben the Gangster for his fine comment.
I don't see Ben the Gangster.
It's
Group chat.
It's not in the group chat. It's a comment he made probably on the page. Fine comment.
Would you care to enlighten me?
The virginity is strong in these ones.
Hey, I had sex once.
It was awful.
It was awful.
Hey, I'm proud of my V card. I plan to auction it off and become a wizard.
You have to wait till you're 30. And I'm not sure if you can auction it off.
Well, once I'm 31, I can auction it. then other people can claim to be wizards.
It doesn't work that way. I'm really disappointed that it wasn't until like after I'd had sex that I found out that if you kind of maintain your virginity till you're 30, you become a wizard. Because I know which I'd rather choose.
Fireballs are useful.
Fireballs are useful as a lightning bolt.
So
that was kind of
it was everywhere.
It was everywhere, and of course
the official, because I think this was one of the first official game guides, the red, blue, and yellow Pokemon game guide.
I didn't have any of the game guides, but I did have the original official handbook
with the big Pikachu on the front.
With the big Pikachu on the front, which is now worth a decent amount of cash.
Yeah, I'm sad to say I threw that out.
I think I threw mine out as well, or I gave it.
To be fair, by the time I was done with it, it was in pieces.
Oh yeah, mine was nowhere near mint condition, but still, it doesn't have to be. It's like, so all of these things that I had that would probably be worth like a decent amount of money now if I didn't just kind of get rid of them. It's really quite disappointing. But like I said, my memory is bad even at the best of times. But even though I haven't really played the original, I remember I did actually get an emulation for Blue on my phone at one point, and I found it quite difficult to play through because it is very, very slow, and the new games, even they're faster, but they're also kind of speeder in kind of combat, so you do kind of, it feels like you do more damage, you kind of get through things much quicker, whereas I remember just like a single kind of fight in like the original could take ages until you got to like the very high level.
Unless you lucked out and sort of had the right type combination.
Yeah. If like at the start because at the start all you had was like normal type moves. You had like your original Pokemon that had like tackle and growl or something, and then you could get a Rattata which had tackle and quick attack, and then you could get a Caterpie which had tackle, or you could get
Pidgey. Don't forget Pidgey.
Which had Peck, which is normal type back in the day. Was Pidgey normal type back in Gen 1? So I'm sure I remember like someone saying that flying type was introduced Gen 2.
No, flying type was a thing in Gen 1.
Yeah.
I'm sure of that. Yeah, because flying type couldn't be attacked by ground type.
I think in one of them you could catch a Mankey just off Pewter City. There wouldn't have been Pewter City. Viridian City. Just off Viridian City, I think there was a place where you could catch a Mankey who had Pound, which is a normal type move. Whereas now, like straight off the bat, it's like, ooh, look, it's a Ralts, catch it, it's got Confusion. Psychic.
Well, and the best psychic creature in the game, the Abra, you had to babysit that thing for how many levels?
It was level 16 that it evolved.
And you caught it at level 8. And you caught it at level 8.
And it would always teleport the fuck away. You can't kind of hit it and it's like reduce its hit points and then kind of throw a Pokeball. That's something that I always tried to do. I always went for Abra. Because, of course, when it did evolve into Kadabra, it was worth it. There was payoff. Same with Magikarp, evolved at level 20 into Gyarados. It was worth it if you could get it up to that level because Gyarados was the tits.
Or if you had a friend you could trade with, Kadabra into Abracadabra, who was insane.
No, Kadabra into Alakazam. Get it right.
I can't remember. It's been 20 years.
Obviously, you just weren't a big nerd as I was.
I had other things to nerd about.
Obviously, well, anyway. And I remember all these things. I remember not really considering it an RPG for a long time. It was because it was just Pokemon. But it is. It's essentially, it is like a carbon copy of Monster Hunter. No, not Monster Hunter. Dragon Quest.
Yeah, I was actually going to bring up a comparison between the two, but now you said, yeah.
Which again, I didn't play till like very much later on, and I just kind of realized that yeah, this is a game where you kind of get a slime, and then you get the slime to fight another slime, another bigger slime, and then you kind of catch that, and it's like a common kind of game in the East.
Well, in Japan, because they have those weird bug fighting tournaments.
Well, no, it's just because bug catching was like a big thing. So the actual creator of Pokemon, which I was going to get into later, what his inspiration for Pokemon was basically kids in the city couldn't go bug catching, or they didn't go bug catching, and that was like a massive part of his youth, like going out finding all of these different types of bugs, and all these different kind of variations and varieties, catching them, showing them off, presenting them to his friends, and he felt like kids didn't have anything like that if they were growing up in the city and there was no kind of countryside to go out wandering in. So he created Pokemon. He took it around like lots of different publishers, and I think he got turned down quite a few times before he approached Nintendo, who kind of brought on took on the project, improved it, kind of expanded it, did all these things, and yeah. So bug catcher. No, it was Youngster Joey, wasn't it? No, yeah, bug catchers, which is actually why I can't remember which game I was playing, but there's like Bug Fanatic or something, because you had like the bug catchers. Bug catchers were a big thing in the original game. They were like some of the like Viridian Forest.
Yeah, they're a really early trainer you fight.
Yeah, and they all had like the bug type Pokemon, obviously, but they're like a big part of it, and I thought that's great. And now we've got like bug maniacs who are these weird, creepy guys in shorts with those glasses, kind of hunched over and like, and it's just, dude, what the hell?
That's what they grow up into.
Yes, that's the implication, and I found that quite insulting.
What, the bug otaku?
Yeah, I thought it was quite. It was. I found it quite demeaning to the noble roots of the game.
But they also have lots of otaku type character trainers in the latest one. Like you have the fisherman fanatics as well.
Well, you've always had the fisherman. Who was the fisherman fanatic?
I can't remember where he is because I've only played through the game once.
Which game was it?
X.
X. No, I haven't played X.
Yeah, I only played it because I wanted to see how the Mega Evolutions worked, and it was really cheap.
But other memories from like Generation 1, yeah, just like the patience that you had to kind of show with certain things like Magikarp, like Abra, the frustration of that, and just also kind of like the gyms that kind of have stuck with me. I could probably tell you like all of the I could probably run down all of the gyms. Actually, no. Around Celadon City, it really does kind of get a bit hazy. But obviously, you kind of start off with Brock in the Pewter City gym, going on to Misty in Cerulean City, and then you would have to go to Lieutenant Surge, and you had to root around in the trash, obviously. And you always had to go to Diglett Cave to catch a Diglett, because otherwise Lieutenant Surge would just destroy you.
And you'd always end up with 40 Zubats.
I don't really remember catching Zubats. I remember, oh god, remember how hard it used to be to catch a Clefairy?
Oh god, yeah.
It was just like, okay, so if we go to this particular room of the cave, because you all have superstitions, you have to go to this particular room of the cave, and then you need to, in this kind of, I think I did it in this pattern last time I saw a Clefairy.
Oh, do you remember the there was a stupid thing before I got the guide that
you need to go to Vermilion City. What was the first city? The one which has with Giovanni's gym, the final gym.
Yeah,
it was Vermilion City.
Yeah, I think so, maybe.
You go there, you talk to the old man, you get him to show you how to catch a Pokemon. You fly to Cinnabar Island, you go directly right, you surf up and down. You find Missing No, you run away, the 7th item in your pack, you now have infinite number of them. Well, not infinite, but it was like it glitched out and you had like tons. So you do it with the Master Ball and you do it with Rare Candy. And then you kind of get like Rare Candy, you get all of your team up to level 100. But then there's like, that was the superstition. That was the rumor that was going around my school. I do actually know that these rumors differed elsewhere. And I think in actual fact, all you actually needed to do was surf up and down Cinnabar Island. I think that's just like where the glitch was. The flying from the city, talking to the old man, getting him to show you how to catch Pokemon. That was all fucking rubbish. Lies.
Well,
But
I have one that's a complete out and out lie.
If you use strength on the lorry, then you can push it out all the way, and then there's a Mew under there.
Yeah, there's a bit more down the beach, and you can catch a Mew or something.
Yeah.
Was it a Mewtwo? I forget.
It was Mew. Mewtwo was in the game. Mew was event only.
Yeah. So full of lies, children. So full of lies.
Although I'm not, because I think I remember even seeing screenshots of that, so I'm not sure if that was something that just wasn't in the game, or whether you needed like a Game Gear. No, it wasn't Game Gear. What was the old
Game Genie?
Game Genie? Yes, just an old one of those.
Possibly. I don't know. This is sort of. It was a thing I remembered being told about a lot.
Yes.
Or like mashing down B and certain combinations of directions to get up more XP during combat.
No, that's not what you do. What you do is you mash A when you're catching a Pokemon while the Pokeball is jiggling. If you do that, then you increase the odds. Or you hit A as it kind of goes dudung, dudung. If you press A in rhythm with that, then the odds increase. That's one which I think has endured. I think that's an outright lie that people still do.
I still found myself doing it when playing through X. Trying to do that, and I was like, this doesn't work. I know this doesn't work. But I'm still doing it.
Muscle memory, yeah. And I don't. Were there any other kind of big? I remember Lapras was awesome. There was only one Lapras in the world. There were a few like that, weren't there? There was only one Farfetch'd, and you could only get that through trading.
Yep.
There was a guy who was trading him that away. You could only get one Lapras, even though she wasn't legendary. I think there were a few things. So I remember I always really loved Lapras, and I think that was kind of like one of the reasons why you could only ever get one of them. Although with legendary birds, Articuno was obviously the best.
I'm just trying to remember all the one-off Pokemon.
I think that was probably it.
And there was one in the Safari Zone that I can't remember what it was.
It wasn't a one-off, but it was, again, like one of these really rare Pokemon, like Pinsir. There was Kangaskhan, Taurus.
Scyther?
I think it was Scyther or Pinsir, depending on which color you had.
Yeah, red for the win.
So Generation 1 was magical. It was the first kind of thing like that in the West that we really had.
Did they actually release the original Dragon's Quest in PAL?
I don't think they did.
Which is annoying. I know they released it in America.
They might have had a few on like the Game Boy, actually.
Yeah, they released like 3 or Dragon Quest 3 or 4. Yeah, but they never released 1 or 2. That's a weird thing. They used to release a lot of the ones we'd never get on the consoles on the Game Boy. It's like you could get Final Fantasy on the Game Boy and PAL, but you could never get a console Final Fantasy until the SNES.
No, that was because didn't Final Fantasy 1 come over here?
No. It's American only. Well, and Japan.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
And then another kind of point that I wanted to bring up with the original Red Blue And I suppose it does kind of go back to the whole V card, virginity being strong with us. It's an anecdote that I love. So my friend Claire, I think this was like during college, called me up to settle an argument that she was having with a few friends. I wasn't invited out, but I was the go-to guy. They were arguing which came out, red, blue, or yellow. Because I think there were like some people who said like red came out first or yellow came out first. And it's like yellow didn't come out first. Yellow came out. I'm not. I think it's like the game came first, then the anime, and then yellow was made to kind of fit the anime more because you had Jesse and James. It was kind of close to Ash. You had the Pikachu.
And you got all the starters, and
you got all the starters as well. So I was called up to settle this debate, and I'm not even. And my response was, well, of those three, red came out first. Whoever said yellow is a moron. But in Japan, it wasn't red and blue that was released. It was red and green. So technically, red was supposed to be released, but red and green were released at the same time. And in UK, red and blue were released at the same time. So and then after I had explained this to my friend, I heard someone else on the other side of the phone call say, "What a nerd." And I was like, I'm not the one having an argument about which Pokemon game came out first. We were all nerds, but
you were alpha nerd in that situation.
I was alpha nerd in that situation. Didn't help me get laid.
And you wonder why no one invites you out.
I know. I mean, I have all of the valuable information that people want.
Yep. When the zombie apocalypse happens, you're still our go-to man to remember everything about Pokemon. You now have to memorize all bajillion of them.
So then we'll go on to Generation 2, which I'll try to be a bit quicker on because we've been talking for a while about Gen 1 and we've talked about other things as well. But Generation 2,
about half an hour on Gen 1.
Generation 2 would be my favorite. The graphics upgrade I think was excellent because
it looked more like a SNES game.
It looked, SNES is the best. Whatever.
That's not a debate for now.
That's
not a debate for now.
Not a debate for now. It did, and I remember your rival. I liked him better. I didn't like him better than Gary. Well, because Gary was a prick.
Yeah, you love to hate Gary.
You love to hate Gary. When I don't know, he was just kind of annoying. But your rival in Gold and Silver was actually a nasty piece of work. I enjoyed hating him much more than I enjoyed hating Gary.
I honestly can't remember much about Gold. I didn't play it that much.
Well, rather than being the professor's grandson, your rival in Gold and Silver was a thief who stole Pokemon from the lab.
Yeah, I remember that now. Sorry, you'll say things like, "Oh my god, yes, that was right." Much like the SNTK thing.
He had red hair. I think originally I wasn't sure if he was a boy or a girl. He was a boy. And
boys are bad.
Boys are bad. Wait, what? Oh yeah, because he was the bad guy, and he was a man, so evil. But you were a man, he was a good guy, so we don't talk about that.
Though, you got the choice to be male or female in this one, didn't you?
Not in Gold and Silver, no.
Really?
No, it was because you had Gold, Silver, and Crystal. Crystal, because they kind of went to having like a third game, and that was kind of a trend. In Crystal, you did have the choice of being a boy or a girl, but in the original Gold and Silver, I don't think you did. Until the re-release of Heart Gold and Soul Silver.
I may have played Crystal then.
Say again?
I may have played Crystal then, because I remember playing through as a girl.
No, I remember I do often do this, and when I was younger, I used to do it all the time. if it was like a choice between boy or girl, I would always choose girl. And I know that I played through as a boy on gold.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember like playing a game as like a Pokemon game as a girl, and I did kind of give up after Generation 2. Generation 3, Ruby Sapphire, I didn't play that until the re-release Alpha Sapphire and Omega Ruby.
Mm-hmm.
So there we go. Yes, Crystal had Suicune on the front of the box art.
Mm-hmm. Well, sort of what sort of changes were there between Gen 1 and Gen 2 other than the graphics upgrade?
There was the graphics upgrade. I think there was a story upgrade because there wasn't much. There wasn't really a story in. There wasn't much of a story in 2, but there wasn't much of a story in 1. There was less. So you had your rivalry with Gary, but other than that, you were just kind of. And you had Team Rocket, but
Yellow had a lot more story.
Yellow did, yes. Yellow had more story with Team Rocket and everything, but I don't really. I didn't really play Yellow. I don't think. At least I don't remember much of it. I remember with Heart Gold, with Gold and Silver, your relationship with your rival was developed a lot more because he was keep going on about how you're training Pokemon wrong. You need to be kind of ruthless. You need to be strong. Whereas kind of your idea or like Professor's idea was you need to be compassionate. Pokemon are our allies, they're our companions. He was kind of like, no, they're kind of tools to be used. Until the very end, when he kind of realizes the error of his ways, and he's like, I've tried it your way, but then you can, and I don't know, he has growth. Not much, but it's more than Gary
ever had.
More than Gary ever had, because it's like, hey, I'm stronger than you. We should battle. And then it's like, hey, look, I've already got all these badges. Let's battle. There was no kind of philosophical debate about Pokemon. And there was no because like
that was the purity of it, though. That was the purity of it.
That was but I remember like we would also always make jokes about how Pokemon was really kind of anti-animal rights because you would beat up animals and then trap them in cages and then force them to fight. But like maybe Gold and Silver was kind of like a response to that, and like
quite possible.
You know, these aren't kind of tools to be fought with. They're friends, they're companions who accompany you on your journey to be the very best, like no one ever was.
You need to love them.
Yeah. And your rival kind of learns that. Gary learns shit.
Gary learns he's not a good enough Pokemon trainer, and thus is worthless to this society.
Gary learns that he always comes first, but he's not necessarily better.
I just got
it.
Penis.
And there was the additional 100 Pokemon. I do like a lot of the Pokemon that were added. So the evolutions, I loved Espeon and Umbreon, although I'd always try to get Espeon because Espeon was just cooler because she was purple. And
lame.
And I liked how
I never liked the Eevees.
Also, that like was another really cool thing that was introduced. They leveled up when they loved you enough. I can't remember how it was called, but it's like their happiness. It was their happiness. If you kind of reached if they kind of got to that level of happiness during the day, they evolved into Espeon. If it was at night, evolved into Umbreon. That was the same with Togepi into Togetic. It was happiness based. I think there might have been 1 or 2 more, but I thought that was that's great because this is like a Pokemon that you evolve not. Again, it's like
through punching.
Not through punching, but through spending time, sharing experiences, and yeah. I can't remember the other ones, but I'm sure that it must have been more than just those 3.
Can we take a quick sidetrack to the anime here?
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember the Pokemon movie?
The one with Mewtwo?
The first Pokemon movie. The
The
one that
one,
was in the one that was in cinemas.
yes.
Ended with the
I
introduction
remember
of,
I got tickets for free because I think I won some kind of competition at school.
I remember seeing it.
I remember going to the cinema, but I don't remember actually experiencing it on the big screen. Although I have seen it since, and yeah.
Yeah, that movie's a hell of a thing.
I loved it.
I can't remember my reaction to it at the time, but thinking back on it, sort of, how did I not barf at this?
Because it's fucking amazing.
Pikachu brings back Ash to life through his tears.
Yes, and it's a common trope.
It's
Okay, so in Final Fantasy and Square Enix games, you bring people back from stone with a gold needle. The fuck does that even mean? No one questions it.
I do regularly.
I've never once heard you question the gold needle in Final Fantasy.
It's more the Phoenix down, because when do you ever see a Phoenix?
In several games, the Phoenix is kind of an eidolon. It's a summon which resurrects the entire party. So Phoenixes do kind of exist in the world, and I think in one you might have to defeat a Phoenix before you can summon it as an eidolon.
But then why are there Phoenix down all over the place?
Because
video game.
Because of video game. It's a highly sought after item. There's a black market of Phoenixes. What do you want us to say, Kier?
So there's battery farmed Phoenixes.
Yeah. Sure, why not? If that will make you happy.
It won't.
What if they were organic? That'd be great. Organic Phoenix Downs.
Free range Phoenixes.
I
was actually working through an idea of a parody of RPGs. I might include that now.
Do it. It's a good idea. Baby Pokemon. Gold and Silver introduced eggs and it introduced breeding. And then you had the baby Pokemon Elekid, no, it wasn't Magmar.
Magma?
I can't remember.
It was a cute thing. Then there was the little Pikachu.
The Pichu, of course, who I have in shiny card form in Japanese.
So isn't there now a baby version of that?
No. You might be thinking of Minun and Plusle, who are two completely different Pokemon.
But look very similar.
Very similar and very adorable.
They are adorable. I just want to hug them.
There are also a few other ones which do also look very similar. They're very kind of rodent-based, like Pachirisu, and then another one whose name I can't remember. And these baby Pokemon also, when their happiness reaches a certain level, they evolved. There are also kind of certain things that I remember just that I really loved about the game. Like there was the gym leader who was caring for the Amphoros, who lit the lighthouse, and you couldn't actually face, and she was steel.
Yeah, because there was that new evolution of
Onyx, Steelix.
Yeah. Badass.
Fucking badass, yeah. That was hard. Because fire Pokemon used to be rare, and if you didn't choose Cyndaquil as your starting Pokemon, which I generally did, that was a fucking bitching gym to beat. Because fighting was also rare, and you have tons of everything now. But fighting was rare, fire is rare, and I think they also had. I think the Steelix also had ground or rock type moves that would basically just decimate your Typhlosion. But I just loved kind of that aspect of the game where you had to. Well, just this gym leader was taking time out to care for Pokemon, and you couldn't kind of face it until you got the medicine and healed the Amphoros.
I can't be dealing with it right now. I've got a problem.
Because what do you know about Brock, which you didn't learn in the anime? What do you know about Misty that you didn't learn about in the anime? Sabrina, Bruno, the one in Celadon, the grass type gym leader.
I don't even remember what I learned about them in the anime. Other than who was looking after Brock's gym while he was off adventuring?
No one. Oh, it could have been his.
Bajillion illegitimate sons.
No, they were his brothers and sisters.
Yeah, brothers and sisters.
Um, you don't. The only gym leader who you really learn about is Giovanni, because he's head of Team Rocket, and you keep running into Team Rocket.
He's a legitimate badass.
I love
You know, his two Growlites, or whatever the evolution of that was.
Persian.
I thought he had two fire ones. And then a
In
Persian
the
one.
anime, he might have had an Arcanine in his gym, but in the anime, he always had Persian. Because that was the evolution of Meowth, and Meowth used to be like his pet, and is quite bitter about the whole getting replaced thing.
I always thought it was really weird because Meowth, I don't think could evolve and keep his ability to speak.
I don't know. Why not?
It just always seemed like he was resisting evolving. So I just assumed he'd lose the ability to speak. It's like when Bulbasaur refused to evolve into Ivysaur. You know, there's a change in him that he didn't want to happen. Kind of like how Charmander became an absolute dick.
Well, Charmander became a teenager, so.
And then became Charizard, who is just an awful, awful person.
Yeah, who became a neckbeard.
Pretty much.
Womp womp. Because that's who we can make fun of.
Charmander used to be such a sweetie.
Used to be such a sweet young boy.
And then there was Squirtle. And the Squirtle gang.
Yeah, who used to be a gangster. Where were we before we got sidetracked, before we started talking about the anime? We were talking about baby Pokemon and happiness, and we were talking about gym leaders. I brought us onto this.
Yeah,
we don't really learn anything about the gym leaders in Red and Blue. Whereas they're people in Gold and Silver. How can you not see that as an improvement? True, the only one I can really remember is the Steel Gym, and I can't remember her name even.
Yeah, but I didn't want to learn 100 new Pokemon.
It was only like 99.
Still.
Actually, no, it might have been 100.
I had to work.
And then, like, Celebi. Claire was the Dragon Gym leader who had this kind of... I can't remember if she was related to the guy from the Elite Four.
Who had all the Dragon types. Yeah.
She had all the Dragon types. And she, like, has this history. And also, there was the Ice-type gym who you kind of, like, learn about his habits, and I think you need to kind of solve shit in his town before you kind of fight him as well. You need to kind of solve the Red Gyarados problem, Rage Candy Bars, all that shit. There was all of this other stuff to do.
And was there ever a gym as good as the Ghost Gym from Gen 1?
There wasn't a Ghost Gym.
Well, the Ghost Tower.
No.
Because I think that's one of the legitimately best designed parts of any game.
Pokemon Black. Actually, no, we do have Pokemon Black now, don't we? No, there was like there was supposed to be like, I don't know, was it? I can't remember how kind of folklore it went. Was there actually a cursed Pokemon game? Because there was like the Pokemon game where I think it was like, I can't remember. But it was like all of the Pokemon were like the ghost or something, or
okay.
It was like this kind of hack or this unofficial Pokemon game that had a load of weird stuff going on in like that city with the Pokemon Tower, and I can't remember if there was like also this nonsense that it was haunted as well, and
it's the internet probably.
Maybe, but it was like this big thing. And I can't remember. I'm surprised you didn't hear anything about it.
That may have been something that sort of came out after I quit.
No, because, well, you quit with Gold and Silver, didn't you? I'm sure this was around Haunted Mansion, Haunted House, Haunted Game. I'm sure this was around the time of just normal of the original.
It's not something I ever heard about. Um, okay, Know Your Meme has something on Pokemon Creepy Black.
Yeah. What does Know Your Meme say about it?
Know Your Meme is a fine resource. It refers to it as a creepy pasta. Uh, Pokemon Creepy Black is a creepypasta about a bootleg Pokemon Red Game Boy game in which other trainers and Pokemon can be killed. The creepypasta predates the release of the Nintendo DS Pokemon Black. The story begins when the narrator's discovery of the Pokemon named Ghost added the unusual line of Pokemon to the lineup of Pokemon Red, which has the sprite of ghosts from Lavender Town prior to obtaining the Silph Code item. The narrator goes on to reveal the mysterious ghost Pokemon had an unusual ability. It also noted that the player continued to use the curse ability, the Pokemon trainer would disappear as well. Here's to first. Uh, First showed up around 2010.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Fair enough. That is quite recent.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. It's a creepy pasta, but apparently someone they've sort of actually made a hack of it and done it.
hmm. um, so yeah, you had more Pokemon, which I felt were still quite imaginative, and I love some of the new additions. As I said, like Espeon, like Steelix, like Ampharos. I always went for Ampharos. Um, Cyndaquil I loved, and Typhlosion and Meganium was also great. Feraligatr was also kind of cool as well. Um,
I liked his evolutions,
hmm. Hmm.
but water types are always hard to make badass.
Feraligatr was basically a giant crocodile dinosaur thing. How is
Yeah,
that? How's that not awesome?
I know,
Uh,
but sort of it's always the water Pokemon that is the least wanted of all the starter three.
no, the grass is always the least wanted.
Really, I regularly went with Bulbasaur.
Well, Gen 1, it was different because the first gym was Brock,
Mm.
and Charmander kind of digged you over. But no, Fire type is always the most sought after, and Grass type is always kind of considered the shitty one.
Mm. I always went fire, grass, water.
Mm.
But then again, I'm an old Gen 1.
Mm. Um, so yeah, I liked the addition of the new Pokemon. I felt that it was a much more in-depth game. I think that like the character development was better, the rivalry was better. Um, it was great because it included both worlds. Once you cleared the Hoenn region, you went back to Kanto, and also after that, you went to like Victory. No, it wasn't Victory Road, but you climbed a mountain and then you fought Red. You fought like the original protagonist of the first game,
Yeah.
which was excellent. It was amazing. And he was badass. Um, and just all these other things. You had like the new game concepts, berries, whatever, but just like eggs, like evolution through happiness, baby type Pokemon. You had all these really cool things.
And gendering a Pokemon, of course.
Yeah, with Crystal that was introduced.
Mm.
Um,
Well, technically, there was there was two in Gen 1, but because you had the Nidoran and Nidorina.
oh, right. I thought you meant gender of player.
No, I meant gender of
I thought you
Pokemon.
were talking about your representation. No, gender, yes, because you had to have gendered Pokemon because breeding.
Though you could still do it with the Nidorinas.
Hmm?
Though you could still breed the Nidorinas and sort of go on the divergent paths,
What do
which
you
I
mean?
like. Well, you had the male Nidorina and the female Nidorina that went into eventually Nidoking and Nidoqueen, right?
Yeah,
You could breed a Nidoqueen and a Nidoking and get a Nidorina, despite them
yeah.
being different Pokemon. which I
Well, they
like.
were with Nidoran.
Hmm.
They were essentially, yeah, they were like the same Pokemon, but they were just kind of evidently dimorphic.
Hmm. It was just a nice touch I remember liking at the time because it was one of those Pokemon I had to remember.
Hmm.
So,
Um,
but I think that's enough on Gen 2.
mhm.
Now, you said you played Gen 3 later.
Yes, this is where I kind of left the bandwagon. This is where I kind of dropped off the radar. I just kind of thought it's like
Enough is enough.
enough is enough. This is where it's kind of getting silly.
Hmm. When they added 500 more.
No, I think it was just like another 100, 150 more, but I'm not sure if I just wasn't buying as many games, whether I just wasn't being bought as many games because
Age.
expense and stuff, age and expense, yeah. And I do remember like playing like on my friend's version of the game and just not really being impressed by it.
Mm.
I don't think because, like I said, with Gold, I think that it did improve in so many aspects of the game, but then with Ruby and Sapphire, not really. I don't see like that track of progression. I don't see any improvements that were made. I don't see anything that was better. I just saw more Pokemon.
That's basically how it looks to me.
Mm.
Um,
And
but
then
next
after
one,
that, I think it was I think it was like one with Palkia on the cover. I want to say Diamond.
I can't keep track of what game was what.
No, like I said, this was kind of like Dark Age for me. I don't remember this.
I mean, what was the next one you played?
Next one that I played, it was probably one of those because actually no, because well, the next one I played was it was Fire Red,
Mm-hmm.
the remake of the original one.
Was that on DS or Game Boy Advance?
That was on Game Boy Advance, and it also came with kind of like a wireless adapter, which was quite fun because it allowed you to trade wirelessly. Um, None of this
Okay,
online any or anything.
I've got actually the list of.
I mean,
Um,
I've got it now.
yeah. Do you want
So,
me to read out the list of games as they come out?
Diamond and Pearl was
Yeah.
Generation 4. Oh, no, yes. So Gen 3 was Ruby and Sapphire and Fire Red Leaf Green, which is what I bought. So that was my Gen 3 game.
Mm-hmm.
And then Gen 4, it was Diamond and Pearl. Gen 5 was Black and White, which I hear is like completely different. You don't have like any of the previous Pokemon. It's
Mm-hmm.
just the Black and White Pokemon.
Okay, that might be interesting.
That's what I've heard, which I think does sound interesting because you don't have to kind of troll through like a 500 Pokemon long backlog to fill a Pokedex,
Mm.
and they're all kind of contained in the one game or like the two games.
Oh, I'm just checking one thing. So I think Black and White might have been with a different developer.
Hmm.
No, it wasn't. My
And
mistake.
then after that, you got onto X and Y, which is Generation 6, which has Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, which I did play. Because like at that point they did have like a lot of new things that were introduced.
Yeah.
And then coming this year, I think,
Sun and Moon.
yeah, Quarter 4, Sun and Moon, Celestia and Luna.
It's just an MLP game now.
Yes, gotta love them all.
Friendship cannon. So
Yeah. It will be like Pokemon Ranger, which I never got to play, where it's like you're not allowed to keep your Pokemon in Pokeballs because that's cruel. They all just kind of follow you around. That was something I really loved about Heart Gold and Soul Silver is that they did like all of the sprites for like the Pokemon, and they would all follow you around.
oh,
Like whoever was first in your party was basically just following around behind you,
so like they did with Pikachu and Yellow.
like they did with Pikachu and Yellow, but for all Pokemon.
That is awesome.
I'm
Just
not
have
sure.
just have a magic card flopping around behind you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, having Gyarados for you was a bit weird. Um, but I
Magic.
can't remember if they limited it to the first 250.
Hmm.
Because I know that I don't think they've done it since because it's just too much.
Well, there's over 1,000 now.
They can't be over 1,000. That's crazy. There's like 700.
Oh, it's a stupid amount.
Hmm.
Hold on, I'm bringing up the wiki page for Pokemon X. Um,
So yeah, I skipped Sapphire, Ruby and Sapphire first time round. But as I said, I would bring up this girl who I had a bit of a crush on.
just a teensy little huge one.
Yeah, and she was big into Pokemon. This was like around generation Diamond and Pearl. Was it Diamond and Pearl? I can't remember. So I can't even remember that. That's crazy. Diamond and Pearl. Um,
This thing's Steven Universe
I
now.
think yeah. So as I was saying, this was the Garnet and Sapphire generation. She was big into Pokemon, and she was. I think she was kind of proud of her Pokedex. She had like all of these Pokemon, and I was like, okay, that's what I'll do. This is going to be my in. I just need to fill my Pokedex more. I need to prove myself. I can't remember my motivation. It was probably something like that.
There's, not including Mega Evolutions,
Mhm,
there are 718 in X and Y.
mhm.
That's too many.
It's too many, but it's not 1,000.
You don't need 718 of anything.
No, you don't. You really only need 6.
Nicely done.
6 is all you need.
6 is all you can have.
6 is all you can really have. Um, for unexplained reasons.
I just assumed there was only one maker of belts.
Hmm. Where was I going? So yeah, to try and like have this talking point, to try and um, know what she was talking about, I bought one of the Diamond and Pearl games just to try and catch the Pokemon there and just play through it. So I've had like Diamond for a long while now. I
Mm-hmm.
still haven't completed it. I got so bored playing it. It was unreal. It was boring. I was playing Pokemon and it was boring. It was like there were these unimaginative cities that were just kind of weird. I remember going to some kind of construction site and I was like, "What am I doing here?" But it's like, "Get there, Geodudes," because construction and this is fun. Um, Unowns I loved as well in
Mm-hmm.
Unknown Cave. I'm sure they used to be called Unknown.
Yeah, they used to be unknown.
They're Unknown now or something.
I disapprove.
Hmm. Um, but yeah, it was just like the world was kind of unimaginative, and they had this weird secret base thing that kind of made no sense, and just and you are now friends with your rival, like good friends or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
which was actually something which was introduced in Diamond and Pearl, I think. No, Ruby and Sapphire. Because yeah, like I said, played the remake of that, and you're kind of friends with your rival, and it's just like it's just that you don't have the conflict. Conflict is good. Um, I don't know. And what else? What else was going on? Yeah, I just didn't play through the game. I tried to catch as many things as I could and kind of trade in and out, but it was just boring. Didn't like it. Wasn't fun.
Time to
Um,
talk about X now.
was X the next one?
Yeah, I think so.
Diamond and Pearl, Black and White, which neither of us played,
Yeah.
and then X and Y. So yes, take it away, Kier.
Okay, this is my first sort of going into a Pokemon game since Crystal, if I played that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Now, I just want to set up the opening to the game.
Mm-hmm.
You move into a new town with your parent, with your mother, as a sort of you never have fathers
It's
in
tradition.
you never have fathers in Pokemon games. Fathers don't exist.
In Ruby and Sapphire, you do have a father, but he's a gym leader in a different city. So it's kind. I think he is still married to your mother, but I'm not sure if it's ever said, and it feels like seeing that.
We were on a break.
I don't know. I need to play it again.
Hmm. So basically, you move there on the day that the Pokemon are handed out.
Hmm.
And kind of this gaggle of kids grabs you and drags you to the Professor Oak stand in. You get a Pokemon, and they're all your best friends now in a really creepy way.
The other kids or the Pokemon?
The other kids.
Hmm.
There's like 18 of them. I can't tell them apart.
18?
There's not, I'm being hyperbolic, but there's loads of them.
Hmm. There's loads of
Yeah.
them, like three.
No, like 5 or 7. It's not a number.
Hmm.
Too many. And it's like it's almost like there's two groups of people, and they've all got their own interwoven rivalries and crap. But it never feels like I said I want to be your friend, but why do you keep bothering me? I don't know you people. And then you're instantly sent out into the world. It's like I just moved here. Why am I being sent out into the world?
I should really talk to my mum about this.
No, I'm a crazy scientist. You must go out into the world
Hmm.
to do research on love. So one
No,
of the
that's Sun
things.
and Moon.
Hmm?
Where you go out and research love is Sun
Mhm.
and Moon.
Oh, okay. No, like you research friendship in Sun and Moon.
Same difference.
So one of the weird things is, you know how you have got the radio in Gold,
Hmm.
which actually I thought was a really cool feature.
That was great also because you like had the radio and it's like Dunsparce. That was the one I remember. It's like Dunsparce you couldn't catch unless the radio told you you could. It's like there's an outbreak of Dunsparce in Granite Cave. I was like, quick, get the fog to Granite Cave now.
So one of the things now it's an entire sort of virtual entertainment system,
Hmm.
and there's this weird idol thing going on in the world where Pokemon trainers and their Pokemon are idols and will make videos that you can do.
Yeah,
And basically, you can train your Pokemon in this device using different sort of games and settings and weird stuff.
they had that in Omega, Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire as well. It was like a different way of EV training.
It seems weird.
Okay, so EVs. So I remember like a friend of ours was kind of big in Pokemon. I think he went to a tournament and kind of got his ass handed to him because this is Generation One. He just kind of like had a normal team, normal Pokemon. But what the coding was in Generation One was you, if you defeat a Pokemon, then you kind of get an effort value. You get like a stat. So it's like you defeat a Caterpie, then you kind of get a bonus point to your defense or something, or to your hit points.
Hmm.
Um, the more Pokemon you defeat, up to like level 100, the better your stats are. So there were these people at the tournament who would just kind of go around killing thousands of Caterpies to kind of max out this stat and just get absurd levels, absurdly strong Pokemon because they broke the system. I'm not sure if this was in. I think it was in gold because I can't remember. It must have been in gold because I remember like checking off EV points and everything to kind of get like the perfect Pokemon. Um, they did like the same. I think in gold is like where they brought it in, where that same kind of things happen. Depending on what Pokemon you get, you kind of get a different boost to different stats. But they capped it at like
Hmm.
either 255 or 256, because they always do like one or the other.
Yeah.
Um, and so they kind of adapted that, and then so you just kind of get that through fighting Pokemon. So you want hit points, just kill 1,000 Bidoofs. You want strength, kill 1,000 Bidoofs. Whatever you do, just kill 1,000 Bidoofs. But enough about killing Bidoof. And then like these mini games, if it is the same as Sapphire and Ruby, is like a quick way to max out these effort values in the stats you want.
Okay. You can train. Yeah, you can train stats in them. I know you can do that, and you can also increase happiness. And there's like you give them macaroons that makes them happy and gives them toys.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I just want to fight the Pokemons. I want to throw a Pokemon against Pokemon. I don't care about this other bullshit.
You felt it kind of got a bit bloated or weighed down with other stuff that was unnecessary.
Yeah, and it's a lot easier. Like, you remember in Gen 1 getting the bicycle?
I loved the bicycle.
But you earned that.
You
know, that was when you first saw the bicycle, it was 9999999 gold or Pokebucks.
For that.
And then eventually you get
it's just like, here, have a bicycle.
Well, you eventually get a ticket and it's just like, oh, okay. In this, you have both.
I think it was in gold you had running shoes. So you didn't have to wait all the way to get a bicycle before you could speed things up a bit.
In this, you get rollerblades and a bicycle. And so I was like, why do I need both? You get them really early on in the game. And people
assuming bicycle is faster than rollerblades?
Slightly, but also less maneuverable. And I think there's also a thing about Pokemon attraction when you're wearing them. But there's also other people in the game wearing rollerblades or on bicycles, so you need those to catch them to fight them. So I recall there's a gym all about that. But you get loaded down with Pokemon. Like, you get to pick a starting 3 multiple times.
I think you get to choose like extra starting Pokemon in Alpha and Omega, but I think it's like an extra bonus after you've defeated an Elite Four.
No, this is like second or third gym.
That's odd.
I mean, it's from different generations, so it's sort of you start off with the new one, and then it's like, well, do you want a Bulbasaur?
Yeah, I want a Bulbasaur. Do you have a Charmander?
I have a Charmander and a Squirtle.
I have Charmander.
Charmander will grow up into a dick. It feels like they go a lot faster. It's like I've got a Charizard already, and I'm on maybe the 4th gym in my recent playthrough.
That does seem quick. Just doesn't Charizard evolve at level 36?
Yeah, and I don't grind either. You know, I'll go for battles and stuff, but I don't grind for trainer battles because I think they're marginally more fun. So there's stuff like I know they introduced these early on, but we missed it. We didn't talk about like you can have multiple Pokemon in a battle.
Yes, everything has changed.
Yeah, and now they're sort of like
having like 3 Pokemon in a battle. It's like, what if? Why would you not?
I like it when it's 2v1. Because especially, I kind of wish you could like set the battle scheme beforehand. So it's like, this guy's really easy. I'm going to set it so he has 2 Pokemon, I have 1, to give me a bit of challenge. Things like that. And there's also like conditions, so it'll rain, so fire type aren't as effective.
That's something which I enjoy doing. So there's like a special ability which a Ninetales can get, Vulpix and Ninetales, which basically gives you a free sunny day when it comes in. And then I had a Leafeon which had Solar Beam and an ability which is like Chlorophyll, so its speed goes up in sunny weather. So I took this to a tournament. It still didn't do very well because I didn't net deck. I didn't go onto the internet and find out what the good teams were. So I had like I had Ninetales, who would have Sunny Day, and then I'd have Leafeon, who had like double speed in sunny weather, and then it's just like Solar Beam, Solar Beam, Solar Beam, rather than charging, Solar Beam, charging, Solar Beam, and it was just I was gonna wreck shit up. But then someone just had like a Mega Garchomp with maxed out speed stat, who just kind of used with an item which increased chances of flinching, and just kind of used kind of landslide. Your Pokemon flinched. Landslide. Your Pokemon flinched. Landslide. Can I do anything?
So you're going to say like they had a dragon on and they just sat on me.
What did I say? I think I was supposed to say Mega Garchomp.
Mega Garchomp, yeah.
Yeah. I think that's what it was. But, oh, God.
It'd be funnier if he beat you with a Bidoof.
No, it frustrates me when people kind of go onto the internet to find the ultimate team. Why can't they just kind of have the Pokemon that they like Leafeon and Ninetales?
That's no longer allowed, Dan. Fans no longer allowed.
I know. But where were we? We were talking about how X and Y sounds a bit weird.
Yeah, it's just a weird, bloated mess, and it's like they're trying to push this epic story, and Mega Evolutions just don't make sense within the world.
No, they kind of don't.
So it's a temporary evolution.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen.
No, it doesn't. But it's great. It's like Blaziken Digivolve to Mega Blaziken.
That's exactly what it is. It's a
They digivolve.
Yeah, it's a digivolution.
Because digivolving is temporary.
Sometimes.
And you can only do it if you have a Digivice. God.
That's it. There's the new Digimon series out.
I don't know. I don't know what's happening with that, but we'll talk about that another time, maybe.
Yeah, it's about the original cast having grown up.
Yes, but talk about it at a different time.
Okay.
Pokemon and Digimon are completely different.
Yes, very, very different.
Mm-hmm.
I actually played one of the Digimon games, and it was quite good.
I played one. I didn't understand it.
Oh no, it made no fucking sense at all, but it was good.
Hmm.
So, since we know nothing about Sun and Moon, because they aren't out yet, how about any of the other peripheral games? Did you play any of them?
Yes, I did. Let's see.
Well, let's sort of think through all the other ones. Well, there's the Stadium series,
which I didn't really play. I played Pokemon Stadium. That was you had like the battle arena, and then you also had all of like the party mini games.
Yeah,
I used to play that quite a bit actually. That was fun. My friends had N64s.
Yeah, it was originally an N64 title, and it had a GameCube release, as I remember. Then there's Ranger.
Ranger, I never played. I always wanted to play Ranger.
It's interesting, and there's also Dungeon or something like that.
There are the Mystery Dungeon series. Again, I haven't played any of those, so.
But we're forgetting the most important and most interesting of any Pokemon game.
Mm-hmm.
Pokemon Snap.
Didn't play that one either. I didn't have an N64.
I did play it, and it's kind of a fun game. It's a good party game.
I remember reading lots about it. It was like one of those games that kind of everyone
knew about.
Everyone knew about, and everyone kind of like said it was great, but not everyone had played it.
Well, it was just a weird concept, and so we haven't really played any of the side games, have we?
I've got a list of like all of the games. So Pokemon Puzzle Challenge. I loved Pokemon Puzzle Challenge.
Never played it.
It was basically kind of like Super Tetris. If you ever played I think it was like called Super Tetris, where basically you have your kind of field which kind of keeps scrolling up, and you have the different kind of colors and patterns, and you need to arrange them. You kind of get a row of 3 to kind of make it disappear, but then if you kind of get say again.
So it's basically Dr. Mario.
No, it's completely different to Dr. Mario.
You have to get 3 pills in a row and bing.
Yeah, but in Dr. Mario, you need to get rid of all the viruses, and he keeps throwing pills into the jar. Whereas this is slowly ascending screen.
Okay.
There are a few kind of similarities. So like if you get like a big combo, so you get like 6 in a row, or you kind of do it so that you kind of get 6 and then that disappears, and then the blocks which fall down cause another one, and that causes another one. You send kind of blocks over to your opponent,
Okay.
and if their screen fills up, they lose. Your screen fills up, you lose. And you just kind of like went through the gyms. It was one of those annoying games where it's like, oh, you've got to this point in the game. You can only progress further if you get to this exact same point, the harder difficulty.
Yeah.
So I don't think I ever managed to complete it in my original run when I had it on the Game Boy Color.
Because you were just like, fuck this noise.
Yeah, so I keep getting to fucking Lance, the Elite Four, if Lance is his name. It's
Yeah,
just,
Lance was in the Elite Four.
I think I've tried to call him Vince earlier, but it was Lance. Get to Lance.
Vinny's a punching rogue.
Fucking impossible. I can't beat this guy. So I got rid of the game because I used to trade games in a lot, which is it's bad. I'm sure I've got like games that would have been worth like Legend of Zelda, Oracle of Ages and Seasons. I don't have the books, but they're.
I still think people get ripped off when trading games.
I don't do it that often anymore. Like, hardly ever. Unless I know that they're kind of just nothing. But then games are much more mass produced now. You're kind of not going to get to the stage again where it's like these are going to be rarities.
I collect old games, so.
Yeah, but still the old games, so nothing like current gen, like previous gen on.
No, I mean there is a little bit of rarity in say some GameCube games, but nothing Wii or Wii U.
They have like really limited release, and you know which ones those are.
Yeah, I mean, God, picking up a copy of Super Mario Paper Doll, Thousand Year Door, for less than its original price is almost impossible.
So yes, I didn't complete that the first time I had it. I had to wait till I had it till I kind of downloaded it as a ROM, like a year or so ago before I actually finally completed it. Destiny Ranger, the Heart Gold Soul Silver remakes, played that. Pokemon Conquest. Pokemon Conquest was basically a tactics game along the line of Final Fantasy Tactics, Onimusha Tactics, Tactics Ogre. So
you loved it.
I loved it. That was amazing. I haven't kind of played it like all the way through, but I've done like the main quest and that kind of stuff, because you kind of play through it again and you kind of start again, and it's all about, and it's set in Edo period, of course, kind of thing.
Historical Pokemon times.
Historical Pokemon times. And it's all about these different kind of warring factions with like their Pokemon partners. And you just kind of go around claiming territories. And they're like, after you completed the game, you kind of get all of these kind of mini scenarios where you kind of go around and you have to gain control of all these territories. And you do that by having like all of your Pokemon on a map and fighting like all together, like all 6. And it's great. And you had like your different Pokemon trainers. I can't remember if they had different abilities as well. But it was like a really fun take, and it was a cool setting, and I liked the people. None of them were particularly memorable, but it has been a long while since I played it, so maybe that's just me.
Okay.
It was cool, unusual, and it was very fun. It's definitely a side game that I would suggest. And what else do we have? We've got Shuffle and Picross. Picross I'm playing at the moment. Shuffle these are basically the Nintendo's answer to mobile games. Shuffle was kind of Candy Crush like, yeah. I'm just trying to remember. It's been a while since I kicked the habit. Yeah, so usually you have like a certain number of moves, and you kind of drag and use stylus to kind of drag Pokemon from one place to another, and get like big combos, big chains of Pokemon, and then kind of Pokemon stop back down to fill in the gaps, and then hopefully you kind of get combos. And that deals damage to the Pokemon that you're fighting. And then at the end, if you kind of reduce it to 0 hit points, then you get a chance to catch it. Chances improved with the number of moves you have left. If you don't manage to kill it with the moves that you have, then you need to try again. I got to the point where essentially you needed to pay to win, just because even with like fully leveled Pokemon that are super effective against the one that you're fighting, it's not a matter of getting lucky. It's a matter of being able to use coins to buy items to get through the level. And of course, you get coins just by doing things, by completing levels, by going back and doing other things. And like every week, you would have like special events, things that you could do, which got you lots of money, but you would burn through it so much faster. And I just kind of gave up after a while. Picross is kind of like that. So you have like locations. Do you know what like a Picross puzzle is?
No idea.
It's similar to like an old Mario game. I can't. It might have been on Mario Paint, where basically you've got a square grid, like a graph paper grid, and you've got like numbers along the side, and that corresponds to how many kind of hits there are in that column. And then you have the same on the left-hand side. You've got numbers, and that corresponds to how many hits you've got in that row. And you kind of figure out where they kind of match, where they interact, and you create a picture, which is in across different Pokemon.
So it's kind of like picture Sudoku.
Yeah. So I actually really enjoy them. I really enjoy doing Picross. So being Pokemon is just like a fun addition to it. And then like once you've done a Pokemon puzzle, you get that Pokemon, and then Pokemon have special abilities. So you can have like an ability which is shows you, it kind of gives you a hint, like where is, it will kind of highlight the columns and the rows where it says you can fill something in here. Or ones which kind of will kind of scan the board. It's like, have you made any mistakes? Whoop. These were mistakes. We've corrected them for you. Or just like reveal skill. So it's just like dragons do square reveal. So it's like, what's in this block here? It's like, boom, that's what's there. And it's quite fun, but it's, again, diminishing returns. So you kind of buy a location, and then you kind of complete missions for the different Pokemon, which nets you like a couple of gold pieces, we'll just call them for now. And then you spend those gold pieces to get to the next location. So if every kind of location you get like maybe 40 gold pieces, and then the next location will cost like 170 to unlock.
Ooh.
Unless you buy gold pieces from the online shop.
Yeah, I can see that being addictive.
It's kind of addictive, and it's annoying that I keep kind of wanting to. I want new puzzles. But yeah.
Well, I've just been looking up on Bulbapedia. Some weird and wacky side games. Did you ever see Hey You Pikachu?
That wasn't a side game. That was like a little. It was basically a Pikachu Tamagotchi, wasn't it?
No, it was a side game. It was on N64. And it had a sequel called Pokemon Channel.
Was Hey You Pikachu the one where you basically just lived in a house with a Pikachu?
Yeah, it was a Pokemon virtual pet game.
Nice. I do remember it, yes. I definitely remember the name, and I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and like it had a voice recognition thing, so you could talk to Pikachu, and including some attacks.
Nice.
And apparently the sequel Pokemon Channel, you had lots of other Pokemon you could have.
Cool. Didn't play any of those, but I know about them.
And apparently it's got a Pokemon Channel had a mini emulator in it.
Nice.
for Gen 1 Pokemon, so that's really cool. So that said, the uh, GameCube games weirdly did include a lot of other games in them, like the original Animal Crossing.
Mm. Anyway, we are kind of tangenting off a bit, and it's getting up to like an hour and 40 that we've been talking. We've gone through all of the games. We've talked about the zeitgeist. We've talked about our experience. We talked about what we love. Is there anything which you wanted to add?
Um, I mean, we could do the typical nerd thing and talk about the world and how it makes no fucking sense.
A, it makes no fucking sense. B, shut the fuck up, Nintendo. We want a game which has every region in it.
Well, actually, what's your headcanon?
Hmm?
What's your headcanon for the Pokemon world? Is it a separate universe?
How do you mean? Like each region is a separate universe? Or?
No, sort of like the Pokemon world.
Mm-hmm.
Is it because it's so like our world, but it doesn't make sense in terms of development. So my headcanon is that there was a post-apocalyptic event that created all these Pokemon, like, and now this is kind of the world afterwards.
I think it's a video game.
Headcanon
No, it's just an alternate universe.
where
And-
there's Pokemon, but
Hmm?
you can't leave your town.
You can leave your town as
You'd
long
be,
as you're
beat-
13.
you'd be beaten up as soon as you go into the long grass.
That's why you have Pokemon.
It don't make no sense.
Um,
In the Edo era Pokemon game, did they have Pokeballs?
no, I don't think they did.
Good, because that seems like a modern invention.
Hmm. What was it?
Anyway,
Logical. Oh no, don't you remember? They used to use like berries and nuts and stuff to catch Pokemon in or something.
oh, Japan. God
I
damn
can't remember
Japan.
exactly, but I remember in like it was the gym with the bug gym leader in Heart Gold and Soul Silver. There was a hut like at the back of the town where if you kind of took nuts, I'm sure it was like nuts to the guy there, then he would craft it into a Pokeball for you, which is like where you got like the nest ball, I think like the love ball and all those different type of things.
Okay. So it's not some weird magical thing. It's just a nut.
It's still kind of weird, magical and stuff, I think, because of course it is.
So there's a whole industry of whittlers gone out of business.
Mm-hmm. Damn you, Silphco! What was I saying? I do love all of the evolutions. Like Jolteon, Vaporeon, and Flareon, not so much, but I love Iceon, Glaceon rather, and Leafeon, and Sylveon. Sylveon I didn't like all that much to begin with because I was a bit kind of cold on the whole idea of a fairy type Pokemon. But I've grown to love Sylveon.
With all the bows.
All of the bows. But my final thought will be Dragon Evolution, make it happen. Steel Evolution, make it happen.
My final thought is actually a bit I just remembered from the first game.
Mm-hmm.
I forget which town this is.
Oh, Eevee was also a one-of-a-kind Pokemon.
Yeah, which was annoying. There's a town where you go north to meet the guy who invented poker storage.
Yep. That was Cerulean City. That was Misty's gym.
Was it? Okay.
Because you need to go across the Golden Bridge, was it called?
Yeah.
And you fight all of Team Rocket. What you're supposed to do is just kind of, it's a test of might, and you go through all of them. But what I would always do is like, number 1, Poké Center. Number 2, Poké Center. Number 3, Poké Center. 4.
Lame. But you get to the guy in his hut eventually, and he's developed a teleportation device and fused himself with a Pokemon.
Yeah.
That game was fucking weird. Didn't they
Metamorphosis?
didn't they revisit him at a later date in another game?
Yeah, in Gold you visit him again, but I think he might be out.
He might be human.
Hmm?
He might be human at that point
I think it's you at that point, yeah.
because he becomes like a drowsy or something.
I can't remember. And because I
Also,
think it is.
what was up with Mr. Mime?
He was creepy.
I just imagine Mr. Mime was in a person.
Hmm?
Mr. Mime was a person,
No, he wasn't.
a very, very ill person.
Yes. Basically, Mr. Mime and Jinx were very racist. Jinx was obviously a black person, and then Mr. Mime was obviously a mime.
Yes.
Because as we all know, there's a lot of racial tension in Japan between Japanese and mimes.
Well, no one likes mimes.
It's the race that it's okay to dislike.
Yep. You know, because they're
That
so
the
annoying.
French.
You're only allowed to hate the French if you're English,
If you're English.
and they're allowed to hate us. It works that way.
Oh, are the Scots allowed to hate the French? Because I know that the Scots hate the English, and the English
You know
hate
that-
and then the
no,
Scots
Scot-
hate the Irish, and the Irish hate the Scots, and the Scots hate the Welsh, and the Welsh hates the Scots, and then the Scots hate the Scots, and the Scots hate the Scots.
Well, the Welsh don't hate anyone, but historically,
I didn't say anything. Ignore me.
the French have been allies to Scotland. In fact, the French helped Scotland try to set up an empire.
By taking over ours?
No, Scotland legitimately tried to become a colonial power at one point.
Huh.
This is quite a funny story. They got the money together, put that money on a ship, and sent it to set up a country. It was in like Malaysia or somewhere. You know what happened to that money?
We robbed it.
No, booze and hookers. You can't trust sailors.
But okay, so we're gonna call it a night there. I think. Yeah, I love my evolutions.
I can leave or take. I actually kind of like Evie. Evie's cute.
He was cute. And also, I was going to make a health note at the beginning of this episode, because last week I was like, "Oh yeah, must have had a great night. Still feeling shitty." I think I was actually sick. I'm not. I'm still feeling quite exhausted all of the time, but there's nothing wrong with my blood.
Yes, I tasted it.
I also gave some to a doctor on Friday, and I kind of got a call back, saying that, I called them and they said everything was fine. I don't remember anyone else taking any of my blood, but
You shouldn't have invited me in.
I didn't. The worst vampire ever.
You invited me in years ago. A vampire never forgets.
So I'm still feeling a bit shitty. I'm still getting stomach cramps from time to time. I'm still exhausted, but there's nothing wrong with my blood.
No, it tastes fine. It's probably in your head.
That was mentioned as a possibility.
You should let me taste your brains.
Hmm?
You should let me taste your brains.
No. Right. So we've been expletives included. Kira's been creepy. We're both very exhausted and getting a bit ridiculous. So we won't take any more of your time. Thank you for listening. We'll see you again next week, where we'll be talking about something else.
Ridiculous.